Hey, what's up? I'm Basil Barrington, and today we are starting a new series called the Emerging DJ series. This is a series where I interview up and coming DJs. These are DJs, the new generation of DJs, because, I'm from a totally different generation. But the new generation of DJs, they have a lot to say. And today I am here with DJ Ameer Brooks. Ameer, what's going on, man?
How you doing? I appreciate you having me on. How you doing, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well.
I was saying this offline, but you kept coming up on my feeds. You do this, you post your Wednesday, I guess your Wednesday afternoon DJ
hmm
sets on YouTube. And I'm like, okay, my man is getting into it. And the first thing I realized and I recognized was, oh, he has a New Jersey house sound. That is a real thing, a New
hmm
Jersey house sound.
Yeah.
Explain really quickly before I get into some of the nuts and bolts. Explain that New Jersey house style. Why is that unique? Why is it so unique from other styles or other genres of dance music? Explain that if you can.
I feel like with New Jersey, a lot of people try to group New Jersey and New York together,
Hmm.
but New Jersey's a lot more vocally. Like they really like vocals in Jersey. A lot of people like to sing. You know, people like to have a good time. In New York, there is more dancers. So with that New Jersey sound, you got a lot of vocals and I feel like a lot of New Jersey DJs tend to use more acapellas. So like they'll do that whole overlay thing where they'll play a
Hmm.
bunch of instrumentals with different acapellas and trying to a lot more edits and remixes than other places, at least you see like rather in like New York or Chicago.
Let's start with some questions, man. So, first question is, how did you get started in this whole DJ game?
So this goes back to like when I was like 7 years old.
Hmm.
Um, family TV. You used to watch TV every night as a family. My dad was flipping through the channels. We saw MTV came up. They had I don't know what the exact name of the show was, but I just remember seeing DJs, and I was like, I want to try that. And then my parents were gracious enough to get me my first little controller. Um,
Oh, before you go on, do
that
you remember the
Christmas.
type of controller it was?
Yeah, it was I want to say it was a IDJ. It was a new Mark controller. It was IDJ, I believe. It connected
Yeah.
to my iPod at the
Yes.
time. It didn't connect to, it wasn't like
Right. Mhm.
it wasn't outputs or anything.
Right.
Just literally
Mhm.
no inputs either. You couldn't even plug in headphones. I remember it came with like a little dongle that you plug into the audio port of your so you could hear the and it would split the mix automatically in the app.
Right.
So yeah, and then I used to do like little mashups or whatever. And then I got my first controller about a year after that, like my first real controller,
Mhm.
Newmark Mix Track Pro. And from there it was just the rest is history, just working. I did my first outdoor event when I was about 13, I believe it was 13, 14.
Oh, really?
And yeah, since then we're going. And then yeah, but a year after that, did my first club. It was a spot in Irvington, New Jersey, called Club Elevation, right on Springfield Avenue.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's been a journey since then. A lot has changed, but a lot is still the same. I think my passion for music has grown exponentially. I think my whole family, we all like very musically inclined. Both my sisters are dancers, and they both are professional dancers, and they choreograph
Excuse me.
um, different pieces for different places.
Mhm.
So
So
music's a big part.
so today, what is your current DJ setup today?
Right. So in my canteen, I call it the cantina,
Mhm.
aka my parents' basement. Uh, we I got a Opus quad down
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
It was a hard decision. I wanted to get CDJs, but space was limited, and the Opus has everything you need right now. I was like, I might as well
Right.
get the Opus, two 12-inch EVs, no subs. When we first moved here, I brought subs down there, and I was subsequently banned from having subs in the basement after the windows started to rattle. Yeah,
You
I got
know?
a whole, and then I use a just a Osmos to record whatever Osmos Pocket 3 from DJI to record all my footage and do my streams and everything.
Oh, really? So you use oh,
Mm.
okay, wow. For
Yeah,
some
that's what I'm
reason,
using right now too.
okay, so that camera is just like blowing up because it's just like everyone's talking about
Yeah.
it. I was just like, okay, so that records in 1080p or does it also record in 4K?
No, it's 4K.
Okay.
So if I have my big PC down there, I can do 4K fine. But recently, I've had to go down to 1080p because I've been on a laptop. But what I found out is, Twitch already they downgrade you automatically unless you have like
Yeah.
a certain sub count anyway. So I was like, I might
Mhm.
as well just stream it in 1080p. But the Osmo can go up to 4K, 120 FPS.
Mhm. Wow, that's pretty cool. So
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
your Wednesday sets that you post on YouTube, are those sets that you record from your live stream that you do on Twitch?
So it's a mix. Most weeks I do a separate mix completely,
Okay.
either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Actually, I just got finished doing today's before we hopped on the call.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to do a new mix every week, and I try to have it genre focused. So I don't want to do a whole bunch. Like usually during my sets, I'll play you know, a whole bunch of different genres. Like I'll go in between, but
Mhm.
when it comes to like the Wednesday midweek reset mix, I try to keep it genre focused so that it kind of have a vibe. Each mix I want to have a different vibe. And I try not to play the same thing each week. I want to switch it up. Trying to
Yeah.
and this it helps me expand my library as well because
Mhm.
I'm the type of person I like to listen. I can listen to the same song over and over again, but I know that can get boring for listeners. So this is a way for me to also expand my mind a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. So obviously, if you have the Opus Quad, you are mainly using Record Box, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Have you used any other software, Serato, DJ Pro,
Mm.
Tractor, anything like that?
Yeah, so I when I was first coming up,
Hmm.
I kinda used anything I can get my hands on, whatever I could find. Virtual DJ was kinda the one that I used over and over again, because before this Opus, I had a DDJ SZ, so that was between Virtual DJ, and then once Serato Stems came out, I started using Serato a lot more, and, like, if I was out, I would use Serato because Virtual DJ sometimes can get a little finicky. But, yeah, Serato was the big one that I was using before this Opus Quad because I had with the stems and all that.
Right.
But
Okay. That's very interesting. Um, okay, so you have the Opus. You obviously not obviously, but when you are basically putting your sets together, is this generally music that you've bought and download, or are you actually using some sort of a streaming service or something like that?
yeah, so I purchase all my music just so I know that it's the best quality that it can be.
Wow.
I
Hmm.
know
Yep.
some people they like to download, and like you can get away with certain songs, but when you go to certain places you can really tell, like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna really be able to tell on like a YouTube mix or,
Right. Hmm.
but I know if I'm in a big club you're gonna hear it, so I
Right.
try to make sure I buy only wave files, track source, beatport. Sometimes and you can get good quality music from Amazon as well. If you go to like Amazon Music and then you
Yeah.
just buy each song, they're like $1 each.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned track source and Beatport. So Beatport has sort of like a DJ streaming service, Beatport, and also
Mm.
Beat Source. Do you use any of those?
No, with the Opus, I haven't. There's probably a way to connect it, but I just find it easy. I feel like it would overwhelm me to a certain a
Hmm.
certain point.
Right.
I'd rather just find what I like, and then because knowing me, I'll be in the middle of doing something and trying to find something new all of a sudden and
Mm.
get myself confused.
That's
It's easier for me to set aside time to really sit down and explore the websites. Instead of
mhm.
opening it up to streaming. And especially with I don't have the most reliable internet in a basement.
Yeah.
So sometimes it cuts out a bit.
Right. Let me ask you this here. So you started DJing very young, just like me. Did you have any influences coming up, like any DJs that you followed, or you were like, "Wow, I want to be like this DJ," anything like that?
Yeah, my father, he listened to a lot of house music. So the mixes that I can vividly remember were Naeem Johnson, he would listen to over and over again, and Alan King, he would listen to on Podomatic, over and over again. Like that was his two that he was listening to constantly,
Mhm.
was Alan King and Naeem Johnson. And as I became more engrossed in it, I did a lot more research and discovered Tony Humphries and Beloved and Larry Levan and David
Mhm.
Morales and Louis Vega. And once I discovered those people, it really opened my mind up to what um, all the different possibilities, because everybody has their own kind of lane. Naeem is here, and Louis here, and David's here, and they're all sharing, they're all playing similar music, but they all kind of play it differently. So I'm able to learn, and I think that's the great thing about the time that I grew up is I was able to research all that. I didn't have to go to a club, or I didn't have to, which I wouldn't have been able to because
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was very young. But I'm able to find those mixes. I'm able to find Larry Levan's mix that I wasn't even a thought of. Um, I wasn't even a thought at the time, for my parents.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm
and that's a beautiful thing.
when you're putting your sets together. Let's just say you're doing your Wednesday sort of pop off right on that you're posting on YouTube. How are you? What are you thinking about when you put your sets together? Are you thinking about keys? Are you thinking about journey? What are you thinking
Mhm.
about here?
So I usually start with like a song, one
Mhm.
song that I'm like, oh, I want to play that this week, and then kind of go off of that. And definitely keys are important. When I first started, I didn't really understand, theory at all, but now I get theory a lot more, and I can hear it a lot more. So now I've been able to tell when something's out of key. So that's a big thing that I've been looking out for more recently. But I think, yeah, it's more of like the journey that I can go on and the vibe that I can give out. Like, where I envision, where would I play this set at? Is it 6 a.m. in a club in New York, or is it 10 o'clock in the morning out in a field in New Jersey?
Mhm.
Like, what vibe do I want to give off this week?
Let me know. Tell me your first paying professional gig as a DJ, and where was it located?
So I don't know if this counts as well, I count it because I got paid
Hmm.
for it.
Hmm.
It was I just looked it up the other day. I just found the picture. I believe that was 2013. It was in the back of my cousin's house. It was a cookout. I think I got like $60 for it.
Hmm.
And then I would say like, but like, my first like house music thing that I did,
Hmm.
first paid would be a festival in a year or two after that, 2015. Um, which was more like a block party.
Hmm.
Which was like my first thing with like big, big New Jersey DJs, Omar Abdullah. That was like my first like, whoa, this could be something.
Are you also producing music as well?
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm currently in the process of starting my own label.
Hmm.
Um, it's gonna be called Soul Modus. We got the first track is gonna be called Dreaming,
Hmm.
and there's a remix by David Morales coming out on the label after
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
to that track. So I'm excited for that. I've been producing for the last 6 years. Really, released a few tracks here and there. Two tracks when I was in high school that I released with a label at the time that was called Opum. She was a DJ out in England named Paris Chevette. So she was, the first person to like kind of put some of my music out.
Hmm.
And that stuff was more jacking and not necessarily anything with words, whatever I could make up in Logic at the
Hmm.
time. um, and now the stuff I'm making is more Afro soulful based. Just kind of whatever I'm playing out is what I'm trying to start making. Just so I can have some overlap between the two, because I tend to make whatever comes to my mind when it comes to producing, and some of that stuff never sees the light of day because I have no use for it.
Hmm. Now, first of all, you just recently had a birthday, correct?
Yeah, March 21st.
Okay, happy belated birthday. Do you mind
Thank you.
do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 24.
Okay, 24. Wow. Okay. And you also, I'm following you. So you also had like a big birthday bash out in Brooklyn. How did that go?
Yeah, it went well for the most part. We didn't get as big a crowd as had RSVP just due to the rain started coming down, and the spot doesn't have like an indoor line, so a lot of people were like, "Yeah, we're not coming out in the rain."
Mhm.
And it was out in the secret warehouse area. So a
Like
lot of people, yeah, we're
out
not
in Red
trekking
Hook
all the way out
somewhere.
there. Yeah, there's no train near there, so everybody was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to walk in the," and it was pouring, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
We got it
but
here too.
the
We got
vibes
that
were
rain
nice.
here. We got that rain here too in the
Yeah.
DC area. So the reason why I ask you that is because I was going through some of your videos and you posted a video on your YouTube channel where you interviewed yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But you were asking really interesting questions. Like you were one of the questions, and I'm paraphrasing, was, basically how do you cut through all of the noise to actually become a working DJ? Like, how is it, or when will some of the older DJs start respecting some of the younger DJs and give them their due and let them know that, hey, yo, here's a spot for you, or hey, can you come open up for me? Give me your perspective on the sort of barriers you may have come up against as a emerging DJ when it comes to different generations of DJs. I mean, are you getting
Right.
any pushback? Are people helping
Mhm.
you out? What's going on here?
So there's definitely, especially when I first started, there was a lot of pushback.
Mm,
There's a lot of people that are sticklers with the whole vinyl versus technology, and
mm,
that was a big thing. People felt that I should be playing vinyl. I should, which I understand that there's an art to DJing, but also I think a lot of people need to get with the times. Sort of like, and what a lot of people don't take into it didn't take into account was how expensive being a vinyl DJ is versus being a controller DJ, especially
Mhm.
for a child that's under 15 or even 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So that was the big pushback I get, and people, of course, accused me of sinking, accused me of not playing and faking my sets, but it was just a lot of trying to prove people wrong because I knew that this is what something that I was passionate about, and there was definitely people that helped um, show that I
Excuse
really
me.
am DJing. I'm not just putting on a pre-recorded set and jumping around on stage. Um, which a lot of people, that was a big thing that people were saying, but eventually people were at a point where they were trusting me with my product and understood that this is something I'm passionate about, and faking it would be a crime to everything that I'm trying to put forward. And I, that definitely got a lot of help from a lot of New Jersey DJs, Beloved, Dawood, Jihad, helped me a lot when I was starting out, learn new music, kind of learning the process of studying music
Mhm.
was a big thing that I learned. And then, and then now I'm getting it, I was able to get to know Louis Vega and Dave Morales, and they have been really big helps, helping me understand this house music thing on like an international scale. And, learning the game from them has been a big help. Just a couple weeks ago, Louis actually called me to on my birthday. He called me to come open up for him, so I was able to do that. That was a big it was a big compliment because and that means
Yeah.
he has that trust in me
It's coming from Louis.
to be able to, yeah,
It's coming from
he
Louis,
has that
dude.
trust
Come
in me
on.
to set the vibe of the room for him.
Mhm.
So that was a big blessing. And David the same thing.
Yeah.
And David, even to the fact that when he had a boat party in New York on the Hudson, and it got to about 30 minutes left in the boat ride, and he's playing, and all of a sudden he just stops completely and turns around, looks at me, and it's like, "You have your USBs on you." And thank God I always carry my USBs on me.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he has that trust in me to just close out a party. And even a month later, he ended up booking me to open for him at the Good Room. Um, but then it got to a point where he was like, "You know what? You just finish out." So I ended up playing like 5 hours myself because he was like, and to have that trust from especially those two people is a big sign to me that this is something that I could definitely do long term, and that's something that I'm passionate about enough to do for the rest of my life.
Okay, so now that you've actually been able to break this barrier and like actually, you know, start DJing around around in different venues, maybe in New Jersey and also New York, have you been doing gigs outside of those two states, outside of the tri-state, maybe in Chicago, LA, Houston, anything like that, Miami?
Well, so I really don't play in New Jersey all that often.
Hmm.
Most of my gigs have been in other places. New York's a big one. If I'm not in New Jersey, I'm in New York
Hmm.
most of the time. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel. I've played in Chicago, um, Texas. I'll actually be going to Houston in a couple weeks. This weekend, I'm going to North Carolina. That'd be my first time in North Carolina. I'm
Hmm.
excited for that. And I've also been able to venture out. I went up to Montreal a few months ago, um, and DC's another one I've played in a few times.
Hmm.
Maryland, Pennsylvania once. So yeah, I've been able to spread my wings a bit. I haven't not been able to hit the West Coast yet.
Hmm.
So that's one of my goals is to play in LA.
Okay, so we have AI is here. It's not going
Mhm.
anywhere. But you see how they're trying to implement AI when it comes to DJing and also music production. How do you feel about AI when it comes to DJing?
I think AI is a useful tool for those that use it sparingly.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not against it at all, but I feel like people do overuse it, and then that human element of the music and what makes music goes away. Because you can't tell AI to give the music soul because the AI doesn't have have a soul. But I don't see anything wrong with using something like synth GPT or something like that to come up with sounds that you then use to write chords or something, or even having AI come up with a chord or two to set the groundwork and creating from there.
Hmm.
But I think when you people start making whole arrangements with just AI, I think that's a problem. I think AI mastering is useful if you want to just master something to play out, but
Hmm.
I don't think I would trust. There's a big difference between something that's AI mastered and something that's mastered by a real engineer,
Yeah. Hmm.
because AI is going to do something based on an algorithm, based on a baseline, but they're never going to, unless it becomes, smart enough to detect. And at that point, if it becomes that smart, we might have a problem.
I think we
But
already have a problem thus far.
yeah, yeah, and I like using ChatGPT for different things.
Right.
Like helps me come up with different workouts,
Hmm.
and helps me come up with ideas and laying outlines. And I like to use ChatGPT for outlines a lot. If I'm doing an episode of if I'm doing like a history episode,
Hmm.
what's the best way for me to outline this? Give me a few options, and from there. But I don't trust AI enough to do like full on research papers. And I was I had graduated high school and was in college before all that AI writing really got. When I was like, I think the AI essay writing was like my senior year in college was well, it was supposed to be my senior year, but that's another story for a long day. Um,
Hmm.
what was my fourth year in college was
Hmm.
when that started to pick up, but
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
wouldn't trust it because I just I like to write, so and I would feel like that's a disservice to myself to just use AI as like a cop out.
You probably have some experience listening to vinyl, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I have a small collection.
okay,
Not nothing
so
nothing major.
right. So you know the difference when it comes to a vinyl sound, and also
Mm,
digital sound, right? Um, when you're out DJing, or have you ever contemplated that, wow, you know what? Analog, vinyl does sound better. Should I invest in turntables in a mixer or something like that? Or you're pretty happy with where you are in terms of the digital space? I have a follow up question for that as well.
mm. So, that's something that I've always been a goal of mine to have my own, two Technics and a mixer, but
Hmm.
it was never, it's always been when I had the money. Something else came up where I was like, oh, I should get this. And the thing with vinyl now is that I've been, trying to invest in things that'll further my career.
Right.
And while, having a vinyl set and, maybe recording a vinyl set or two would be nice, getting a vinyl setup doesn't do anything for me at the moment,
Right.
and I've been fortunate enough to be in certain spaces where I'm able to play vinyl and learn vinyl a little bit, but
Mhm.
nothing where I wouldn't be comfortable doing like a 6 hour set on vinyl or anything.
Dude, let
Mhm.
me ask you this here. So you've DJed in some spots. Do you have a dream venue you would love to DJ in?
Yeah, actually, I think the dream is currently like my number one. Where like if I get the call right now and they said I had to give them an arm and a leg to do it, I would do it. Would be like the Alps, like on the mountain. When I've seen Louis and Anane do it, and a few other
Hmm.
people do it, just like out in like Switzerland, just out on the snowy mountains playing for like like 100 people, but just seeing like being out in nature like that would just seem like such a beautiful experience.
The times you've DJed out, have you ever like collab with the DJ? Like basically you're on deck one and two and the other DJs on deck three and four. Have you ever collab like that with a DJ?
Yeah, I've done back to back countless times. Even the
Hmm.
first festival I ever did, like first big festival I ever did, Weequay Park 20, I want to say that was 2016. It might have been 2017. I believe that was 2016. Deuce Martinez, who was a DJ out in Newark, he actually I opened the festival in front of about 600 blades of grass
Hmm.
and my parents. Um, so,
Well,
so-
well,
and
listen. At least it wasn't tumbleweed. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
right, yeah. But then Deuce had told me to stay,
Hmm.
so he actually and then it got to a point where he had me start closing, and then we went back to back. So that was the first time I ever went back to back with somebody like on a big stage.
Hmm.
And me and other young DJs, when we do those past torch events,
Excuse
we'll
me.
usually set aside a time to go back to back with each other. And I think that it's a cool way to create a new sound from two people's sounds. Two people that have unique sounds, melding them together to create something new. And more recently, I've been doing a lot of back to back stuff with Ali Coleman in New York. Just that party that we did last Saturday, and whenever we can.
Hmm.
But yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun. I know some DJs that don't like it, but
Hmm.
I think when you look at big back to backs like David and Louis when they do Kings of House, they're
Yeah.
melding, the way that
Yeah.
they are able to. So if I can ever get to that
Hmm.
point, it'd be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, or like the Martinez brothers, how they, sort of
Right,
like hook it
right.
up the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you're in clubs, right? When you DJ.
Hmm.
Um, is there, I mean, I know when I was coming up, there was DJ camaraderie. We always try to help each other out as DJs, right? And we really didn't care about the older DJs because um, it was just individuals who heard us and was like, "Oh, that person's really good. Let me bring them to this club to play." So it was never DJs
Yeah,
giving us like the boost. It was always individuals who had connections to those clubs that got us into those clubs. And occasionally, you know, an older DJ would bring us up. What's that camaraderie like, in your generation when it comes to, just like a bunch of DJs getting together, talking, chilling, helping each other out, letting you play music, this, that, and the other. When I was coming up, we always carried, a bag of records when we saw our DJ friends play because we knew they were gonna, say, hey, come up, play your music. How's that camaraderie in your
Yeah.
generation?
So I think, I don't go out too often because
Hmm.
I tend to have a bit of social anxiety when
Hmm.
it comes to being in clubs and stuff. So I really don't go out that often. But when I do,
Hmm.
I think the camaraderie between people my age is very good. We're all, and, I never found that we hate on each other. Like I think most of the hate, the negativity comes from a lot of the older DJs. But even so,
The old heads.
I think most of the people, they welcome the younger generation with open arms.
Mm,
Most of the people that are, playing weekly, I think a lot of the Facebook warriors are the ones that are complaining. But between the younger DJs, I think it's more of a thing where we send each other music. You know, it's a little different now with playing out and seeing each other play. Because I feel like a lot of the times whenever it's a younger person DJing, they always kind of always get another younger person. So, um, but I definitely had instances where I've gone somewhere and one of my friends is like, "Yeah, come on," and I know you have your USB on you,
yeah.
so
That's really interesting that you say that. You get social anxiety when you're just out not playing music because when you're
mhm,
behind the decks, you're like actually in your zone, you're in your own space.
yeah,
No one can mess
definitely,
with you. You know what I'm saying? What a
hmm
lot of people don't know is that DJs, we are a little awkward. We are sort of
yeah,
shy in a lot of ways, It's easy to, just groove out and zone out when you have a camera on you and you're like recording a DJ to post a DJ set to post up on YouTube. When you're doing
hmm
live streaming, you're live streaming now on Twitch. Are you live streaming on Mixcloud, any place else, or just Twitch?
yeah. I just do Twitch,
Mhm,
something just because
mhm.
it's simple.
What's
I
that
kind
journey
of,
like on Twitch? What's that journey
Twitch
like?
Twitch is cool. Twitch is cool because you get a lot. There's a lot of traffic on Twitch. I was thinking about maybe
Mhm,
switching over to YouTube because YouTube gets a bit more foot traffic.
mhm.
In the live streaming platform, more people use YouTube than Twitch.
But can you
But
monetize on if you can you monetize DJ sets on YouTube? I don't think so.
yeah, I know YouTube does the stars. I don't know how it works. I know they do like the whole stars thing where people can still donate and people can become members to the channel,
Yeah, you could do that,
which is
the
like
whole
the
chats and
subs.
everything. But once the video is
Yeah.
up, like a lot of times, it. Like so, when you post your videos on
Mhm.
YouTube, so you set it all up. You do the DJ set. You do the post editing of your video. You post it. You put it in unlisted. Then you wait for YouTube to send you an email and say, "Oh, this has been copyright blocked." Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It's blocked. You can't monetize it, but you can still post the video. So when you're posting on Twitch, when you're going live on Twitch, and I was watching you last week on Twitch or the week before last, I see that you do have a community of people who watch you.
Mhm.
Um, is that more difficult live streaming on Twitch opposed to posting a video DJ set every Wednesday on YouTube?
No, I think for me, Twitch is just a way for me to express myself in ways that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do
Hmm.
in an actual club. Like I can play whatever I want in the cantina.
Hmm.
There's an audience, but there isn't a crowd.
Right.
So a lot. I've tried to build my audience to be open minded,
Hmm.
and kind of be there for a journey. And I think I've kind of modeled it after David's Sunday Mass. And David was actually the one that suggested that I start doing Twitch weekly and doing it consistently.
On a consistent
And
day.
it's nice,
Yes. Hmm.
yeah, doing it every Friday, not
Right.
just when I feel like it.
Mhm.
And even the weeks where I'm not technically home, recording a show and having it go live as if I'm there.
Right.
Um, I think that that's an important thing for me to do because that's another thing that allows me to learn different music and learn different mixes. I think that's a big one for Twitch. it allows me to try out different combinations that I wouldn't necessarily be brave enough to try out in in person. So I can try
Yeah,
out these songs that may sound good together, and if they don't, they don't. We're just
right.
on Twitch.
Do you think that DJs could actually make a living or a little side money doing that, or what, on Twitch?
Yeah, I think. Well, the way that I view Twitch is more as promotion rather
Mhm.
than a moneymaker. I mean,
Right.
it's good pocket money. For me, it's nothing serious, but I mean, I know DJs that make $500 a show,
Mhm.
$500 a stream. So I think if you're at that point where you're making $500 a stream and you're consistent
You're
and
good.
consistently making that 500,
Mhm.
but I think Twitch is so finicky
Oh
that
my
I
goodness.
mean, me personally, I would never be comfortable to just be a Twitch streamer because in an instant, people could get, oh, I move on to the next DJ.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it can get to a point where people are like, oh, yeah, I'm tired of the cantina. Now I want
Yeah.
to see something else.
Let me ask you this a couple more questions, and we can get out of here. So, with the DJ news, Apple Music is now integrated with Rekordbox Serato, DJ Pro, Engine DJ. Have you ever used, and I think I asked you this before, offline at least, are you using streaming services with your software just for discovery, if nothing else, not to actually use live in a
Well,
DJ set, but just for discovery?
yeah, no, I don't. I just get so nervous with the whole internet connection. Like I, I've done pep rallies where I'm playing the Star Spangled Banner on my phone, and I get a phone call, or like the internet drops out. It's
Like
like that's the
at the
part that scares
finale
me.
of
I'm
the
like,
at the finale, it's just like, oh, and,
yeah,
and then you get a call from your girl or something. That's crazy, dude.
yeah, it's like I would just be so nervous to be like, yeah, I DJ off. Like I couldn't imagine being out and like searching Apple Music on like my thing for music. It's like, what if
Mhm.
the internet drops in the place that, and a lot of clubs don't have stable internet at all.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so, but I do use Spotify if I want to find like obscure music.
Mhm.
I'll use Spotify just as a way to, because I find a song that I like, use that as a radio, and then just find music that it suggests. Because a lot of the times it's stuff that people aren't playing.
Mhm. What do you think about stems?
I love stems like with all my heart. Like if I wish stems were like in CDJs, but
Mhm.
they're not. So it's not, you know, industry standard yet.
Mhm.
But I think once they're able to integrate stems into CDJs, it opens up the door for a lot.
That'll be a game changer
With
right there.
the controller I had before, that's all I would use, just
Mhm.
stems, stems, stems. But I think there is a limit to it. I think when people get too into it, they can go left a little bit to the point where people are tired. But I think when people just use it as like an accent,
Mhm.
it can really be like it can really turn something into something that's like, whoa, how did you do that?
Can you use stems on the Opus?
So from what I understand, with the research that I've done, I'd have to connect it to Rekordbox's computer program,
Yeah, don't do that.
and I don't
Yeah.
trust Rekordbox's stems either.
Mhm.
I'm doing
Yeah.
stems, I'm doing Serato stems. But there's, I think, and you would lose the hot cues too.
Yeah,
You can't switch.
exactly.
You don't.
So I am here
Yeah.
with DJ Ameer Brooks. He is a New Jersey based DJ, obviously, because I said DJ in the beginning. He plays house music. He is also a producer. So you are basically a DJ producer. This guy is 24 years old. Like I said, he's from New Jersey. And he's an emerging DJ. Amir, like, let everyone know how they can, like, contact you, provide your socials, and your next few up and coming gigs you have.
So if you want to check me out, you can look me up on Google, Ameer Brooks, AmeerBrooks, AmeerBrooks.com. Instagram is at the Ameer Brooks. And all my information is there for bookings and stuff. Um, and My next upcoming gigs, I got Charlotte on the 12th.
Mhm.
We're gonna be in North Carolina on the 12th, and then after that is Houston. We're doing the Houston has a Spring Affair Weekender. bunch of great house music events coming up on the weekend of the 25th of April. And then after that, yeah, that's all that's for the for the next 2 months. That
Mhm.
all I can talk about so far.
Yeah, you have
Got
a
some other
web.
stuff in the work, but nothing I can speak on.
You can't speak about that yet. The contract's on sign. The ink isn't dry. Do you have a website as well that people can go to?
Yeah, AmeerBrooks.com.
Okay, cool. I am going to leave all of his information in the description. Go check him out. And the other thing is he goes live. What's the date you go live on Twitch?
I Yeah, I go live on Friday 6 to 8. Call it Friday nights at the Cantina. The
Hmm.
Cantina is just my parents' basement
Hmm.
where I have my studio at. So over at
That's
twitch.tv/ Ameer
uh,
Brooks.
right. And then
Yeah, I
on
was fortunate.
Wednesdays, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm fortunate enough. My name is unique enough where I was able to get Amir Brooks for most things.
Across the
I didn't have to
board.
add any. Yeah, I
Exactly.
was
No
fortunate enough.
hyphens, no underscores. Dude,
Yeah.
I have a burner account, but it's only available on Blue Sky. When I try to use it over
Yeah.
like on Instagram, someone else has it. I'm like, oh, forget about it,
Hmm.
right? Um, you also post weekly on YouTube. Tell us about that.
So I do a midweek. So I have a bunch of stuff planned for YouTube. I'm gonna
Hmm.
start doing a lot more stuff that's not just only music.
Hmm.
I do a midweek mix. So I call it the midweek reset every Wednesday, or close to Thursday sometimes. if I'm late,
Hmm.
I do a midweek mix, and then hopefully I'll be starting up doing my own history series that I used to do it on my Instagram for Black History Month. I was doing one every day.
Hmm.
So I'm hopefully starting to doing up that up weekly. 'Cause I feel like that's something that is going to be important with everything that's going on in this country.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's a we need a lot more time for that discussion. How about that? Well, again, DJ Ameer Brooks, I really appreciate you hopping on the Crossfader channel and talking to us. And yeah, man,
Thank you for having me.
good luck on your journey. If
Appreciate
you,
it.
I have a lot of, we could talk about that offline, but good luck on your journey. And, I look forward to listening to you and also checking you out next time I'm in New Jersey.
Most definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, man.